it's kids working for too cheap when they're too young?
I think child labor is anyone who is under the age of 15 working without a work permit. I know that when you're 15 or 15 and a half, you can work with a work permit, but younger than that would be child labor to me.
Something Dylan has never experienced. Actually, it's work for children probably too young. It's going to be underpaid, probably overworked. It's going to be the kind of jobs that nobody else will do. Cheap labor, essentially.
No, it never has.
I would say that child labor has probably affected everyone because there are instances, especially in other countries, where children are pressed into labor against their will, and to me, that's also a piece of it. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's different if you have if you're working at home or if it's a family business and you're helping out, whatever. That to me is a different situation than child labor.
Yeah.
Not a bit.
I mean, if a kid's under child labor, then yeah, I would assume it would affect the way they're raised, working for too cheap.
I think you can look at that in two ways. If you're talking about children being pressed into labor against their will, definitely it affects them. I think young people working also affects them, but I think that's probably more of a positive than a negative.
I think in certain cases, yeah. I think some cases, kids want to work. I know 12-year-olds that would love to have some money so they can buy themselves a new bicycle or whatever, and they don't mind working and they don't mind putting in the time and doing a little bit of work. But too often they're exploited, long hours, underpaid. Obviously, in some cases, there's families that need the money. The kids' money is going to go towards paying for food. So I certainly think that's going to be have an effect on how the kids are raised.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, I don't know that all poor countries, develop. I don't see how poor countries are going to be developing too fast, but I do think that that's probably going to be the case where there's more child labor than in countries that are a little more affluent.
Yeah, we should boycott child labor.
I think if we have products that are a result of children being pressed into labor against their will, it's probably not a good thing to support that because that encourages that.
Yeah.
Okay, but by the same token, I don't know. It's
Okay.
because
And-
we use those products. So.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd like to see some kids working a little bit more often. I hate to see little kids that are, getting worked hard all day, fingers to the bone kind of thing. Some of the sweatshops that we hear about overseas, that type of thing. Yeah, I'd like to see those boycotted. I hate to see kids that are working, these 15-hour days without proper food and water and probably ventilation in some of the factories, things like that. So, yeah, I think it should be boycotted.
14. I'd say 14 years old.
I don't think there's anything wrong with 14-year-olds working. In fact, if they're younger than that, that's okay. But I don't think children should work as many hours as adults, certainly. And I think sometimes, especially when we look at high school students, working evenings, working weekends, that's fine, but it shouldn't be every night. You should have an opportunity to be a kid and do some of those things that kids should do.
Yeah.
I think that's just as important as working. You get to work for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Again, I think that's going to be more up to the child and the parents. I think that there's 12, 13-year-olds that would love to work. Some kids just aren't mature enough, and they don't quite get it, and they don't need it, and they're a little bit more pampered at home. So they, in a case like that, maybe that's going to be more in that 15, 16, where they get to mature a little bit more and can actually appreciate the value of money. In some cases where the kids, the family needs it, or they want to buy themselves a bicycle, then, I think 12 or 13 is acceptable.
Shot of my brother Anglum.